Mr. Chairman.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen, December 1st, 2014, and let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the
to the
flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Absolutely, hope you did too.
Yeah. Don't forget the warrants. We have a donation agreement for 160 West Main Street, Parcel A, James Bussing, to the Conservation Commission for approval this evening. Jim Demento from Park and Rec is here to bring us up to speed about it.
So part of our first conservation meeting, we had to discuss mitigation with 30 East Main Street, and we had nothing to mitigate with. So Jim Bussing basically offered to donate this piece of property to the Park and Rec to donate to the Conservation Commission. It was in a turtle habitat area that he thought the conservation would be interested with, which they was. And then in the discussion of the actual, before we went and surveyed it, there was discussion about what would happen once we surveyed it. You know, if we found, you know, gold or ginseng or water chestnuts or whatever, would he want it back? So before the town spent the legal money to research the title and make sure it's accurate, there was some discussion, there could potentially be a lot if it went this way or that way. So the donation agreement basically lets us now spend town money to ensure that no matter what we find, it's ours. So.
Okay. Great.
Mr. Chairman, question on that. So this will move us forward on getting this skateboard park done. That was supposed to be done two Thanksgivings ago. If I remember
I was
correctly.
thinking more like four.
I
Exactly.
was like, oh, Thanksgiving, Dave, it's gonna be done.
Democracy takes time, that's all I can tell you, you know. It would have been easier if I was a dictator, I think, but, no, yeah, it's taken
This
a long
is it,
time.
right?
This
We're
is
good?
it, this is it. It's really just a matter of money and getting out the bidding.
You get the bids out for the winter?
Phase one is right now under discussion, what's gonna be out for phase one.
Because getting guys in there to clear this winter is a good time if they can get
They
in
get the
there.
bid out fast enough.
Yeah.
And,
What's it, 60 days?
we're working, matter of fact, my next meeting was with Gail and the Park and Rec to discuss what's gonna be, how much can we do on phase one to get that done.
Okay. Be
So-
good to see it done, getting
So
going.
when do we anticipate this entire project where we cut the ribbon? I mean, just in it,
Well, remember, we had we have $400,000 now to do the project. 6 or 7 years ago, everybody was 70 cents on the dollar.
yeah, got it.
So there's two things, we lost about 120 in permitting and costs, and we've also lost that 70 cents on the dollar. So, you know, the discussion of the road itself, which might have been a $250,000, $300,000 project, you know. So you know, those numbers, we gotta make sure, we gotta see what those numbers come in at. People aren't offering the deals they were offering 5 or 6 years ago when we,
Economy's gotten a lot better. So what are we down, about 30% overall?
down, what do you?
Meaning, total cost is gonna cost us
Well, I had a-
130% versus 100.
For instance, I mean, it's more than that. I had a half-hour discussion with Jim Bussing, who's away for the winter, but, you know, the phase one, which is, for instance, all the road work, well, if you can find two guys still has their own pits, sand and gravel pits, it's gonna save them a lot of money. So we gotta entice try to find two local contractors who have their own, because there's a lot of material moving. Someone from far away, they've gotta negotiate with other people to get that done.
Yeah.
So what we gotta do is basically get out the right bid and try to let as many local, you know, North Shore people know that sand and gravel pits, because that's a perfect opportunity for someone bringing in material, taking out material.
Yeah.
Make sure that they at least know that they have the opportunity to bid, because that will save us money theoretically.
But I mean, that's really specific. I'm talking, what was our original number on this project from soup to nuts?
The soup to nuts, we thought when we had it at 500,000, Lou was coming in somewhere around 900,000, and we thought we could get it done for around 6 to 7.
Okay. So that potentially could be 900 plus because of the 1.2 maybe, 3 9
Well, truthfully, for instance, I think we could do it for somewhere around 700.
Okay.
The reason
The
being,
whole thing?
oh, the reason being, and this is just me, and it's off the cuff, but the reason being, look at the synthetic turf field. We're getting bids for 2.5 million, and we got one for 1.6, right? So I think when people like Gail and the South Shore starts bidding these projects, they put in all their contractors' numbers, I don't think the North Shore is up to the South Shore and center of Boston numbers price-wise.
Yeah.
We're still getting some value on our quotes. And that's just off the cuff. I think we're gonna be around 750,000 to get this project done.
And-
But that's, you know, Lou thinks it's gonna be 900 still.
So even if it was 900, how much have we appropriated through CPC on this thing?
We've appropriated approximately 500, which we now have about 400.
Spent,
We have
No.
400 left.
Left.
400 left. Okay,
Right.
so you spent about 100.
So, you know, we have three different ways. We have the road going in is one major phase, the parking lot, the skate park, and the ball field.
Yep.
So those are the different pieces, how much we can do in the first, do we do all the road all the way in and some of the skateboard park, like the slab? You know, we're trying to figure out what's the best,
You know, what you can piece
do we
together.
put in the road only halfway in with the parking lot? Do we do just the road and then put the skateboard park? Now, putting just the road and then putting the skateboard park is an issue, because a lot of people question, we don't want the skateboard park there alone because we want the police and everybody to be using it. So that may not be a good idea to have the skateboard park, the only thing there for kids down there all by themselves.
Right.
So there's a number of different phases we gotta look at. You know, I'd like to get the road in and the baseball field at least cleared. You know, maybe not the fences up, at least kids so people can play soccer on it as soon as possible. And then maybe do the fences in the infield 4 or 5 years down the road. But that's just me. I got other members of the park and rec, they may feel, I guarantee each member feels differently,
Right, right.
and like anything else.
Well, I mean, I think we should find a way to complete, do this project and complete it.
Right.
I mean, any way, not any way, but the best way that we possibly can. So see how the bids go and,
Yes.
you know,
The one thing about putting the road the whole length is more people can bid on it, because some construction workers may haven't put in a ball field or a skateboard park, right? But putting a road in, any contractor in the area has done that. So you think that's something that you get more bids, and hopefully more bids, you get more competitive pricing.
no way Peter can do it? I mean, if,
Well, Peter may be a help, and we may be asking Peter if there's a storage issue for materials. Remember, the highway department's right around the corner, right? So if we have problems with contractors being able to potentially open up that area for some volume of material in the contract saying that could be used, it might help us as far as someone trying to bid the project saying, for instance, if someone's in West Newbury, I could draw the material all the way back and forth all day long, and I could drop some of it off those are issues that are still outstanding.
okay.
Right?
Cool.
Right,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions?
Sure. Jim, I know you've been talking with legal counsel, John Eichman.
Yes,
Did he draw up the donation agreement?
yes.
Okay. And originally, there was a discrepancy between the assessor's map and Bussing's map. Has that been resolved?
It's still gonna have to be surveyed now. We're still gonna have to get it, so whatever we get from the survey, we own. The question is if the survey was done and he somehow got a lot out of it, he could then backtrack, because we hadn't had a formal donation agreement with him. So now we have it, we now have to determine exactly what we have. And with CPC money, we'll have to get a survey done.
Isn't it landlocked, though?
No, it's actually, he owns the road, half of the road in that area, which was beneficial to, what the problem was whether he had almost all wetlands or some uplands, depending on which one you went with. One, he had all wetlands, the other one, he had some uplands. As far as the Conservation Commission was concerned, it's the turtle habitat, so they were in favor of it either way. But for us to, we gotta know what we have.
Okay.
So I will be talking to you about trying to push through a survey of, we've already, I think, voted the Park and Rec to allow that to happen with CPC expenditures, so maybe tomorrow we can just check and make sure you got the emails you need to start that process.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
thank you. Oh, no,
Just other than the turtle habitat, the benefit to the town that they're excited, I mean, does this border the area over there that,
it's part of Hampshire Lane, the road going into Hampshire Lane is it's a private road.
okay.
Um,
I know they just accepted a bunch of land over there on open space, and they had a big thing down there last month. This is in that general area.
It's in that general area.
But it doesn't border that land at all, or?
I don't think so.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
and like I said, it's mainly a question of, do we own all swampland, which for the town's benefit, only benefit would be the turtle habitat, we have
Okay.
control over that. But it's also half the road, which gives us, you know, I think we own the town owns the road farther down. I think there's one other homeowner that may have, you know, we can't put a gate there because there's one other homeowner down. But if you had a gate, of course, there'd be less disturbance from the turtles, because believe it or not, there is poaching of these turtles.
Really?
So, Gary, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, just, so Hampton Lane is that, just, I guess, is it just before you go over the line, there's a little road on
Yes,
the
on the
left?
left.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple, looks like cabins up in there, okay.
I'm just glad that,
That used to go quite a ways up in there, 'cause
Oh, yeah, if you look
as a
at it, it
kid,
goes all the
I
way into
remember
Groveland.
traveling it,
Yeah.
Okay.
some maps, and that's interesting, because some maps show it as a lane much longer than other maps. It's been changed over.
So this agreement's in effect until May 1st, so we have up until May 1st to decide.
You get it surveyed, and I think unless, I don't think there's any question we'd accept it. I think the question was, if the survey came back and showed that that parcel had a whole bunch of upland, which would make it buildable. If we didn't have this agreement, he could, and I hate to use the word renege, because people in town know Jim Buss, once he gives his word, he gives his word.
Right.
But there's the legal potential that he could renege and he, do that.
Right.
So it basically says if the town's gonna expend money to find that out, we would like then to use that money to go forward with what we wanna do with it.
Right, and then we'll
which
have
is to own it.
then we'll have a formal transfer of title
Right.
afterwards, right?
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right,
I'm just looking on the map so I can see.
entertain a motion to accept the donation agreement for 160 West Main Street, Parcel A, James Bussing, to the Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Good job on that, Jim.
Thank you.
I know you pulled together a bunch of good.
Yeah, thank you guys
Options.
for all your,
Yes, thank you.
all your prayers, I guess.
I've prayers and voodoo dolls. See you later. Thanks, Jimmy. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of November 17th of 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Any changes or discussion?
Hey, could I, Mr. Chair?
Huh?
Just going over this, I just wanna clear up. Down at the end before adjournment, where we talked about some of the slowdown of projects and,
Were you on third page?
yeah, the second paragraph on the page 3 or 4. And, how was it that it states that? I think it's kinda stating that I brought up about having a strategic plan, and just to make it clear, what I was trying to say was, I feel that we could possibly get together with the boards and do our own strategic plan. And then as we got into it, I did say that if somebody could, show me that the strategic plan could save money in town, I could possibly be in favor of it, but I was sort of bringing up that we could possibly do our own strategic plan, not pay for a consultant to come in and do one. So,
Okay, so do you want to change it to Mr. Fowler stated that we
I
may?
just wanted to clear the
may
air
look
that-
at doing it.
That we know it tonight,
Okay.
that just going forward, that was what I meant, and I still think that we should try to make an effort on that.
We don't have to hire anybody to do a strategic plan, we can do it ourselves if we really had to.
Yeah, it's just pulling a lot of the pieces together.
The problem is his perspective, right? So
Yeah.
bringing someone who gives perspective and what other towns have done. We don't have to go crazy on it, though.
Yeah,
Gary, to your
agreed,
point, if we
agreed.
can show, we can put something together and then have someone review it. I mean, there's other, you don't have to go full-blown crazy on it. And like you said, it should show that it pays for itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you remember, some of the discussion came up about West Street that we were talking about earlier, and it was
Yeah.
like, we don't wanna be going forward with more projects on West Street if we're having to close it down for turtles.
Right.
And that's, we need to all get there. I don't think you were at that meeting, or were you?
This one, no, I wasn't.
Yeah, so,
Well, we had also talked about UMass or Suffolk, if somebody can do some of these, like we had talked about before.
We've had Suffolk do one in 2007. There was students. I'd be willing to get involved in that. I've done several of them.
Okay, yeah, if you wanna figure out how we might be able to get as much of it done on our own as we can and give us your recommendations, that'd be great. Love it. Okay. All right,
Thanks,
any
Rich.
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. We have license renewals. So, entertain a motion to renew the all alcohol license for Another Spot Inc., DBA The Spot.
So move.
Second.
Can
Any
we do all the
discussion?
alcohols together, Mr. Chairman? Can we do the,
They're
all,
all different.
They seem to be
oh, there's an all?
package store, wine and beer alcohol.
Okay.
I think they're
We'll
all,
just hit them one at a time. And these all expire December 31 of 15. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Beer and wine alcohol, Mimosa Papa DBA Pizza Factory.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All alcohol package stores, CJ Liquors Inc., DBA The Liquor Barn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bowling, Georgetown Bowling Lanes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Common Victular, Georgetown Bowling Lanes, Pizza Factory, Pomodori, Theo's, The Spot, Liquor Barn, Johnny's Place.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Class 2 used car sales, B&B Auto Clinic Inc.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Weekly live entertainment, The Spot.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sunday live entertainment, VFW and The Spot.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Secondhand shop, Little Blocks of Shops.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Trap shooting, Georgetown Fish and Game.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, just one note, all those expired 12/31 of 15.
15, correct.
Just make sure we have.
Mike, I was at, I had a question. I was at the Fish and Game doing my annual labor over there a couple of weekends ago. And I was talking to some of the members over there. Would we be able to put a link from their website to our town website?
I don't see why not.
Okay. Can you follow up with those guys on that? Part of the thought process on that was talking to them. They send out letters to realtors usually a couple times a year, just to say, hey, this is who we are, and, whatever, just so that they're aware of it. So if they're showing houses in Georgetown and stuff like that. And I said, well, maybe it'll also help some visibility. If we linked it up and that way people can find it, and I know they've reopened membership over there as well. They've been working on a number of sound mitigation things as well. So, yeah, if you guys can follow up with the Fish and Game and figure out what kind of graphic or whatever they want to use for making a link, that would be good, I think.
Sure.
Okay. Anything you guys have?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I have two things. One, thanks to Peter Durkee and Dave over at the Light Department, the pole that, if you noticed that Harry Murch has another flagpole put up.
Oh, it's up already?
Yeah, and the Merchant Marine flag should be, if it's not already flying there, it should be flying shortly.
Fantastic.
And I don't know about the cemetery, so I would assume they probably did the cemetery, the one that.
Yeah, the crooked one?
Yeah,
That one's
like
awful.
that, so,
Yeah, that's great.
So kudos to them. I think we're just still waiting for some engraving to be done on the monument outside, right out front here, for Merchant Marine insignia, I think.
Okay.
So, thanks to Peter and Dave Schofield and everybody that had a hand in getting that done, so
Great.
appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Speaking of electric department, I've was talking to Mr. Schofield, and he's looking into some solar, putting in possibly some solar over on the old dump cap behind the transfer station. Just so you know, just something to bring up. And I don't know if you've heard anything further or more about it at all, Mike.
No, Dave did discuss that at one of our staff meetings, and he's got a consultant working on it. I told him about the fatal flaw study we did, the
The state bid or whatever, right? The EPA.
Actually, it was the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission.
Oh, okay.
They studied all the area, all their member sites for landfills, and we at least didn't have any fatal flaws
Good.
that they could find.
I know the consultant was out there a couple of weeks ago and did a site walk and took a bunch of measurements and everything, so it'll, we'll see. I don't know if they ever got in touch with you about the electric bill for the town. The consultants were they had called me and I said, Mr. Schofield should be able to do it, but he said to talk to me or you, so I sent him over to you. I don't know if you heard from him.
No, I haven't heard
Okay.
from anyone.
They were looking just to get what the typical annual electric capacity or usage is for the town buildings.
Well, we have that through the ESCO project. We know exactly what we use.
Yeah, okay, great.
So I had two things, Mr. Chairman. Second thing was, have we heard any update on where we are with the Pond Street money from the transportation bond?
Yes, the money that was appropriated by the state is basically going into that TIP program.
Okay.
So we have to go in and fight for it, and slug it out?
Yeah, so the
Figures.
way that money works, if we see it in 20 years, we'll probably be lucky.
Oh, I don't know about that. No? Really?
Peter was not very encouraging when he found that out.
Really? So,
I think we're gonna have to rely on the warrant article money to get that project done in any,
and then then kind of,
no, once we spend a penny.
right, well, then I wanna
lose
take this
that
further
other
then.
money.
I mean, I really wanna take this further and find out, I don't wanna just say, hey, you know what, we'll just use our own money. That money's been appropriated
Dr.
for us.
Bruce and see if,
Yeah, through Bruce's office and through,
and Lenny.
and Lenny, and possibly we'll talk to Senator McGee's office too about, why can't that money just come straight to Georgetown? Or if it has to go through Merrimack Valley Planning, it's earmarked for
Yeah,
us
we can get
in the
down
current
there.
year. We should get that money. That was for that specific purpose. Rather than going to some bucket where some other community's gonna use it through Merrimack Valley Planning. That's not right.
Well, that's the problem that I'd heard is that it's basically, all the reps and senators pop in their thoughts and ideas. It goes into a bucket, and then whatever the priorities are out of that authority is what it ends up getting fished.
Well, we can talk to Dennis
bowled out.
over at Merrimack Valley Planning too. Maybe get Dennis DeZogli over there, find out what's going on.
Yeah,
That's-
it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Thanks for the follow-up on that.
yeah, if you want me involved with this, Mike,
Yeah, stay on
put
it.
me on a
would you?
loop, because I'll put a call into Representative Mira tonight.
Okay.
Always remember,
Yep, go ahead.
it's to fix the problem that the state caused in the first.
Right, exactly,
That's true.
exactly.
Very true. All right, anything else? No? All right, well, Mike?
Yes, I do. I just want to remind the board again, the Finance Advisory Committee is having their monthly meeting on, I'll have to get back and confirm it, but I'm pretty sure it's the 17th. It's an open meeting before we really get into the budget process, and they want to take on some of the DOR recommendations.
Okay.
One of the recommendations that they definitely are going to be working on is the codifying the budget process, develop a budget bylaw. That was one of the recommendations. And also they want to work on a town administrator's bylaw. That was one of the other recommendations from DOR, one of the many. So
As far as
they would
giving it-
like,
The job description and everything within the bylaw?
no, the problem is that's basically all we have right now is,
Oh, okay.
is a position by job description.
Right.
They want, and it's only mentioned, as you know, in the bylaws.
Like once or twice?
Yeah, so they want to set out the duties and
Oh, okay.
responsibilities
Good.
in writing, in a bylaw. That's what the recommendation of the DOR was. And then, of course, we have the other recommendation that needs town meeting approval is the getting rid of the three unusual
Funds.
revolving funds.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be revolving funds. So that's gonna take action by the Board of Selectmen to get those get them in a warrant article,
Okay.
which would have to go in, during the 6-week period that the warrant is open from January to February.
Okay.
But they'll have I guess I should post it as a joint meeting in case we get a quorum of the board.
Okay. For the FinCon?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good. And if there's any other boards that you think might make sense to have them look at some of those DOR action items and get them involved too, if there's other boards that you...
It's pretty much,
That'd
at this point, Board of Selectmen action,
Okay.
and followed up by town meeting approval.
Okay.
One other thing, Mr. Chairman,
Hmm?
on the fire chief replacement and the search process, have we given more consideration or more thought to how we're gonna handle that? Because I would say first of the year, we should start cranking that up. Right, because when, it's June, does the contract expire June,
Yeah, the June.
end of June?
Yeah,
With the-
we
with,
talked about that.
fire chief?
Right, but the chief's official retirement isn't until August or.
Oh, it is, okay.
Oh,
So we
okay,
have
it's,
time.
okay.
All right, I thought it was June 30, but he can stay on as long as there's no if we didn't have a replacement, right? It's not automatic, you're out when you're 65, you can stay on in a
No, it
temporary.
is, you're automatically done at age 65.
But how does Jim,
That's different for police chiefs.
oh, really? Police, I
Yeah,
thought they were the
fire
same.
chief is automatic at 65.
And you can't be a,
Not
acting,
not even chief.
can't be acting,
Firefighters
really?
Oh,
are
okay.
done at 65.
But police can.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right, well,
Yep.
just curious to see where we are on that.
Yeah, Mike, one of the things that we were talking about, you and I, at one point, was having a board of peers review the candidates. Did you
Yeah.
get anywhere with
yes.
that?
Well, I've been, as part of the chief's annual evaluation, when I sat down with him, we talked about a succession planning, and he indicated that he's been working with the two deputy chiefs over the last several years. He doesn't know for certain that they are interested. He thinks they will probably be interested in the position. And I guess it would be up to the board whether you want to just keep it internally or go externally. But Al and I have discussed holding as you said, an assessment center with local and regional chiefs, existing fire chiefs. And what they do is do an intensive interview process and check their knowledge. A regular citizens board wouldn't be capable of
Right.
knowing what to ask
Right.
and knowing what types of certification and training and experience somebody would need to be a chief of a department. So I wouldn't say that would be the only part of the process, but that would be the first and probably most important. We want to know that we have viable candidates, technically viable candidates. If and you can, like I said, either keep it internal or expand that search as well. After they're certified as qualified, then you can have a citizen board.
Yeah.
You can have I mean, I've gone through hiring processes where, for police and fire chiefs, where you, you know, you do the assessment center with professionals, and you could have a committee of firefighters, and you can have a committee of citizens. And I've actually used other department heads too, because the chief will work very closely with all the different departments. Now, the problem by doing that, you know, you you can end up with, you know, depending upon how many candidates you have, you know, this group likes this one, another group likes somebody totally different, and a third group would pick somebody else. So, you know, you have to be willing and ready to take their advice too. Ideally, you know, all three groups pick the same person, and you don't have a problem, but, you know, it could create as many problems as it solves too.
Is there any reason you can't do both internal and external candidates? Do you have to do one or the other?
No, it's,
It's just a decision whether we're just gonna keep it internal.
Right,
or
we're
whether
gonna
we're
go,
gonna
we're
open it
gonna
up to
open up to
external.
Yeah.
everybody.
yeah,
That would be- That's the internal versus external.
I mean.
I think the key
if-
for me is that we, you know, need at least two strong candidates to compare, right? Because if you don't have that, it gets very hard to compare. So if we had two strong internal, you know, maybe that makes sense. But, you know, we need some comparison, you know, similar for the police chief position.
If I may,
Mm-hmm.
just, I'm not fully understanding, well, the way you started sounded different to me than how you ended up, because you were talking about a board to do assessments. And I thought that perhaps what that would do would just be assess the candidates and rule out the ones that don't meet it, and say, these are the ones that do, rather than sort of more like an interview.
Yes,
And I could see that as being somewhat beneficial.
yes, that's, it's
So
a
I guess I
very
wasn't fully
in-depth-
understanding the part where you was then, I guess then you went on to a different phase where you said, where they also help in picking the candidate.
Hey, no, you can expand it to other,
Okay, yeah, so that's what I'm saying, so then
Yeah.
you went on, so I mean, the assessment part sounded
or you
like
can
it
stop
could-
right at the assessment. I
Right.
mean, you know,
Right.
and if the assessment says, you know, you've got two qualified candidates, great. If it says you've got no qualified candidates or just one, then if you want to have a choice, you know, then you open it up.
So we could start with an internal. Have
That's
those
what I would,
candidates vetted,
yes.
right? Then from there, if we have two qualified candidates, then we can make the decision at that point whether we want to see more from the outside.
Correct.
We're not stuck in one
No,
type.
I mean,
Because I like the idea of having it all vetted and then making up one board, you know, like as almost a committee to,
mhm.
like we did with the building inspector, like we did with the police chief, have one, you know, kind of one board that decides, okay, these are the two candidates, or three candidates, or whatever number that is, preferably two, that we're gonna bring to the Board of Selectmen as the two candidates and let the Board of Selectmen decide. Kinda like what we did, you know, we've done that in the past.
When you do that with,
We did that with the
Mike?
building inspector, we did that, right? We did that when we hired you, Mike, we did the same thing.
No, the building inspector, I
Yeah,
did the
we-
initial interviews and brought you the.
Right, that's what I
top
mean.
candidates.
You vetted
Yeah.
them, and then we had two or three candidates to talk to. And then we brought two to the table, to the Board of Selectmen to decide.
Mhm.
So I kinda like that whole, you know, that whole process.
Okay.
Finding out, you know, can they be a chief? We don't know that. We don't have that expertise. That's why I like vetting,
right,
having them vetted by other chiefs and
Yep.
qualified firefighters.
right.
Then from there, you know, if they've got all the qualifications, I think we can take it from there with maybe a mixed board of, maybe a department head, somebody from FinCom, maybe a couple of selectmen, whatever that, you know, Mike, whatever that comes out to, then we'll let down to 2 candidates to bring to the full board.
But if I may, I have a fear if we go too far, though, that at some point you lose your home rule, if I may call it. You know, that at some point it gets to a point where you've got a state list of people that you can pick from, and that's it. So, I mean, I think we wanna be careful that we don't, on the other hand, go too far also and lose our own home choice that we have here.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next meeting will be the 15th of December. Good night.
I have another meeting to go to.
Yeah, we're off.